Yo, yo, my sovereigns, what up? This is Boba Fett, uncensored on the internet, with episode 71 of Splinterlands 101. As usual, joining us once again, the co-hosts of the show, one of the finest gentlemen who ever lived, Matt Clark.
Howdy, howdy.
Here's Matt Clark. He's one of the finest gentlemen that ever lived.
Geotrix, also known on the game as Pouffet Poussey.
Yeah, that's me. I'm a crowd pleaser.
And for our guest tonight, we're quite excited. We are regular viewers of the Splinterlands TV stream of this man, who you all know as Tales from the Crypt Mancer. Welcome to the show, Tales.
Thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. It's long overdue. I've been a fan for a while. So and also we gotta fix the YouTube thing for your channel, Boba Fett, because it's a travesty that we've got just not enough subscribers for the Splinterlands 101 channel here on YouTube. I saw that and I was like, man, this cannot stand. So
You're too kind.
We're gonna have to fix that.
You're too kind.
I've been doing this on Hive, I've been on the blockchain since the Steam days, but the YouTube channel is relatively new. I started the YouTube channel probably 3 or 4 months ago and just in order uploaded. I'm just lucky I had all of the originals. I don't anymore. I recently had to make some room on the hard drive. But yeah, the YouTube channel is relatively new, I guess. But yeah, I'm keen to get some subscribers up on that as well. It just
We'll
looks good.
Yeah, we'll broadcast it on the socials and work on that YouTube algorithm.
Oh, awesome.
Get that going.
And I'm quite new to Twitter as well. I ditched Facebook actually back when I first joined the Steam blockchain. So around about 2017 or something, I just got sick of all the Facebook stuff. I ditched Facebook and I just haven't bothered with centralized platforms like YouTube, Twitter, and all of that. But recent times, just like Twitter, sometimes you just need to follow some people. So that's why I set up the Twitter account. And then there were a couple of comments on the videos on Hive saying, why don't you have a YouTube channel? It's like, oh, really? I was trying to get away from all this. But yeah, I do need to start working on that. Yeah, absolutely. So in pre-chat before, we were talking about how your session on Splinterlands TV is one of the ones that I actually listen to, rather than just popping in looking for the keywords or have it muted while I'm doing something in the background. Or some of the streamers even who do have interesting content. I'll be playing Civ 5 and just listening to them. And when they say it's giveaway time, then I'll flip over to put in the keyword or something. But yeah, your show is like I'm actually sitting there actively listening and contributing into the chat because I love your content. You know what you're talking about. And I've learnt a lot from your shows.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that. I know it's one of the things I try and do different on Splinterlands TV, just because I know a lot of the shows are just people battling nonstop, and that's fine and everything. It's good to see the battles and stuff, but I think at some point, there needs to be other content on the channel to kind of mix things up and add additional value, because there's only so much Splinterlands card battles they can watch in a 24-hour period before your eyes start to bleed, right? So yeah, so I appreciate that. Yeah, we try and keep things interesting, try and come up with some alpha or some interesting topics every show, which can be challenging, honestly. We're streaming on Splinterlands TV 4 hours a week, so 2 2-hour sessions. But it's, I guess, a testament to the game that we're able to really have unique content and topics to talk about for 4 hours every week, because there's so much really happening in the game, even when there's not anything happening in the game per se, right? Because we just have, the community might be a little salty, or there might be some stuff being discussed in Mav chat that is from 2 weeks ago or whatever that gets kicked up again. So you just never know what's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, I think even on a slow week or a slow day of Splinterlands, there's still plenty to talk about usually.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah. I personally don't spend a whole lot of time in Mav's chat, but I know Gio is a huge fan. He loves
Hey.
entertainment value.
It's the only time I ever read. All right. So think about how important that is for me. I need to read sometimes. Without Mav chat and the tavern, I don't read at all. All right. So
Yeah, he'll just send me a message on Signal and go, Bob, jump to Mavs, jump to Mavs.
No, it's funny. It's all I like it. I like it. It's good.
Yeah. And one of the questions that we always love to ask our guests when they come on is, how did you actually get here? Some people have come from a crypto background into the card game. Some people have come from Magic the Gathering or some other form of card game, and this was actually their introduction to crypto. We've had investors on the show, traders, collectors, people from all kinds of background that are now a part of this community. How did you end up here, Tales?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I think what happened for me in my personal journey is I got introduced to crypto kind of during that bull market boom in 2021, just by chance. I had friends talking about Dogecoin and stuff, and basically like saying, hey, you got to get in on this. It's just easy money. And I was like, I don't understand wallets, hard wallets, soft wallets. I don't know what's going on. And basically, I took the crash course in crypto and went down the rabbit hole and was hooked pretty much on the technology and some of the vision there. And excuse me, for me, I think I first saw videos on Splinterlands on YouTube, not by content creators from the traditional Splinterlands channels, but actually from crypto channels talking about the DEC and SPS airdrops and basically how people were making money on the actual coins themselves and not really the game. And I kind of just ignored it at the time. This was probably July timeframe, 2021. And I really kicked myself for just kind of, I listened to the videos, I saw the content, I'm like, not for me, right? I'm like, I didn't really, I felt like it wasn't necessarily something I wanted to delve down into the crypto realm in, but then it kept popping up in my feeds, as far as reminders to say, because videos were being created on it. And then I think it was finally after I saw like maybe the fourth or fifth video, they always say marketing is, it's just a matter of time. If it's something of interest that you'll finally, latch onto it. And I think it was true here. Like the fourth or fifth time I heard it, I was like, man, maybe there's something here and maybe I'm missing out on this. Because for me, it was complicated. Like I didn't understand the relationship between DEC and SPS and all this other stuff. And when I finally logged into the game and tried it, I was like, oh, this is actually a fun game. What have I been missing here? And then I was hooked, but it was probably too late at that point in time because it was at the end of August. So I probably spent like 6 weeks just on the fence, not rolling up my sleeves and getting involved. And because of that, I missed out on Tame, selling out on land and yeah, so it definitely set me back, I think, by not being Johnny on the spot when it came to paying attention. But I've learned my lesson now, and yeah, I'm obviously hooked on the game, hooked on the community and the ecosystem, and here I am. And I think it's a great question too, because as I listen to podcasts like Splinterlands 101, the People's Guild, when we talk about the community and the people that are here and the reason why people are here, I really find that kind of conversation very interesting. And I mentioned this on my stream before as well, is because I find that I have a lot in common with many of the community members and plans. Like if we look at it, study demographic background, psychological profile or whatever of Splinterlands players, I think they would find a lot that there was a lot of commonality there. And for me, I always love hearing the stories about, content creators or people in the community, just because the personal stories I can relate to in a lot of cases. And if not, I can definitely learn from the stories at the same time. So I always find that very interesting about our community, because while there are definitely some viewpoints, like we talked about Mav chat earlier, Gio mentioning that, there are definitely some viewpoints that I don't agree with in Mav chat. I think more often than not, I think there's just a lot of similarities between all of us.
Yeah, I think
We're all here for something.
yeah,
We're all here for the game in certain areas, in certain ways, well, in whatever way. Sometimes it's from a way of like we love it, and then we hear all the salt, as you say. Whichever angle any of us, look at it from, there's something here for everyone, I believe.
yeah.
Yeah, and
And
I think the core community has something just wired, right? Because the game is unique. In yes, it's a card game like your
Yeah,
traditional card game, and that
absolutely.
game style maybe relates to certain personalities or anything like that. But I think
100%.
the whole part of the NFT concepts and the play and earn pieces of it and the economy, I think that just resonates with, for the core audience a certain way, right? It becomes more than just a card game. Like we all might have played like Hearthstone or Magic or whatever, back in the day. But I think Splinterlands brings out, because of the different pieces of Splinterlands that makes it unique, I think it brings, that more that, I don't know, this passion or more of that 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 similarity that we all enjoy, not just the card game itself, but other aspects of the game that really makes us stay, right?
I think it's the potential as well, like future potential that we could see from this game, where as Web 2 games, they don't want to change stuff too much, too dramatically. So it's almost like a form of stagnation, right? Or like like a standstill. And I think, well, since this space is so new, and I just think there's more that can be done here than the other area of gaming and finance or whatever else. I believe this can be like a frontier of something just new and different, right?
Yeah, and it's funny you say that, Gio, just because for me, that's exactly what I thought when I first started playing Splinterlands. Like, I think what hooked me on Splinterlands, I think it within maybe like the first 2 or 3 days of playing, in my daily rewards, I actually pulled a gold foil axe master. And at the time, that card was like $300, I think, when I pulled it. It was over $300 on the market when I pulled it. And I was like, what just happened here? How is this possible? And, and I think to your point is, I really, as I understood the game and did my research, I was like, man, the possibilities here are for a future of this game are tremendous. And I think that's what made me really want to do the research and learn more and really dive in, because to your point, it was that realization that this was different, right? This wasn't Hearthstone, where I was going to, dump money into an app and then never see it ever again. This was something where, I could play the game, enjoy it, but also, kind of level up. Like the game aspect for me at that point became, how do I level up my account value? That's how I was keeping score. It wasn't just about winning the battles on a daily basis. It was like, how do I grow my account, and how do I fill gaps and level this up, from a real value perspective. And that, that motivated me to try and, obviously, build my deck and be more competitive and all that stuff. So
Yeah. I think
Absolutely.
you caught onto something earlier too, when you were talking like a lot of the salty content and so forth in Mav's chat. And I think relate things to the 80-20 rule. Something I learned like years and years ago in sales, the 80-20 rule, and it applies to everything. Like, 80% of the people, they're here sure, they're playing, they're buying, and then the 20% are actually like, what can I do? And how can I personally be involved? What can I do? How can I help? And that's when you start seeing like the content creation side of things, the blog posts. Man, I've looked at some blog posts on Hive, and I think to myself, this person has put hours into this post. Like, you can read it in 20 minutes, but this person has spent hours putting this together, especially with statistics and figures and analyses and things like that. And you combine that with crypto, and like I'm a fairly philosophical type of person. I'm quite deep with most areas. If I'm having a conversation with someone, I don't want to talk about the footy score or what was on TV last night, or what Britney's wearing or anything like that. And say if you're out and about somewhere, and something like suddenly crypto comes into the conversation, it's like all of a sudden it's like, it's like wow, it's like instant commonality. It just because you don't get that kind of conversation anywhere. And for those who don't know, I'm quite into like really left field research. Like Tartaria is my main rabbit hole at the moment. And occasionally like coffee shops, cafe conversation, you bump into someone, you're having a sort of mundane-ish conversation. All of a sudden, just a word drops, a keyword drops, and then it's like, oh, this, and then so when you've actually got someone in this community that's in that style of, okay, what can I do? What can I contribute? They've always got a story. They've got a journey. And so you're automatically going to find commonality with that person if you're doing that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the other things that makes our community passionate or more passionate than others, I would say, is I think it comes from the top down. I think it comes from, Aggie and Matt and the company itself, because like, I was just amazed. Like, I'll be honest, like my first impression of the town hall was one of amazement and horror at the same time when I listened to their first town hall, because I was like, holy cow, these guys do, weekly town halls, and they're transparent with the community, and they're taking suggestions, and they're just kind of spilling the tea on a daily or a weekly basis, which is unheard of like in the software industry. Like I came from the game I played before Splinterlands on a mobile device was like Star Wars Galaxy Heroes, the same game that Bulldog played, and that game is known for just the developers being just very authoritarian and not welcoming and very not community friendly. And here's Splinterlands, where we as a community have and I think people don't really understand the power of this, is we have the ability to influence the game's direction and the game itself by just being active in the community, active in the town halls, active in Discord, and things that the community want to see make their way into the game. And that's very, very powerful. And that was before the DAO, right? Before the DAO votes came out and stuff like that. That was even before then. And also the reason why I say I was a little horrified as well with the town hall, because I was like, I was seeing that the company was at that time, like August, September of 2021, the company was kind of like the servers were on fire. There was huge growth. And the company, just basically said, hey, this is what's going on. We don't really have all the answers. We're looking at doing this, or, Aggie just says things off the cuff and says, well, we'll look at this, or we might try this. I was going, oh my gosh, where's the planning here? Where's the organization? But at the same time, there was so much growth, it just didn't exist, or there weren't bandwidth or cycles to have the planning. So again, I was kind of horrified but amazed at the same time that the philosophy behind the company was something I could totally get behind and support. At the same time, I was like, man, this is this is, you know, not your traditional like Fortune 500 company we're dealing with here, right? They don't have like a PR team or, you know, anything out front, you know, blocking and tackling. So what you see is what you get. So it was kind of refreshing in that regard as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're
Matt brought
nailing
that
it.
that point up right from the beginning, is like the transparency of you know the two founders and the town hall. You just don't see that anywhere else. It's like they're not nothing's being hidden. It's right there.
Not suit and ties, you know, just a bunch of dudes who want to create a damn game, like a good game, like eventually anyway, right? It's
Yeah.
like they just want to work on a game. That's all they want to do is just a game.
And I always enjoy the town hall, you know, the 10 or 15 minutes occasionally when you know, Matt comes on. So to get him onto the show a couple of weeks ago and just talk about the economy for 2 hours was just like not that I needed reselling, but like it was a reaffirmation, I guess, that you know we're on the edge of something here. We're pioneers.
Yeah.
We're crossing ground that hasn't been crossed before. There's no manual to go back and say, okay, what do we do
Exactly.
next? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, episode 69 was amazing with Matt. Honestly, I listened to it more than once because there are so many nuggets of information there. And to your point, I mean, so I'm a huge fan of Matt. I mean, he's very down to earth, very relatable, and you know what you see is what you get. I mean, he's not pulling any punches, and you know, he's just going to tell you, you know, pretty much what's going on, and his vision, you know, for the game is impressive. And you know, I just, you know, give him the runway, give him the space, and let's see it materialize, and it's going to be exciting, I think.
Yeah.
That's it.
And Matt, you've been fairly quiet tonight. What's been going on in your world?
Well, I'm listening in, and you know the conversation's flowing, and I didn't want to interrupt, but I you know, when we're talking about the how early we are, I bought a secondhand car today, and the previous owner, we got to chatting. He was in his late 60s, and he mentioned technology and the like, and he identified me as being somebody good with technology. I'm not quite sure how, but and then I said, well, general tech.
Were you wearing your propeller hat again?
Yes. Well, you wouldn't need the car then if you got the person. I said to him, well, I said the big one for me is blockchain stuff, you know, crypto like Bitcoin. And he just stared at me blankly. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think he's ever even heard of Bitcoin. And this is a guy in his mid late 60s. And you know, when we're saying how early we are, I'm thinking there are still people out there in the West who've not heard of Bitcoin. And to think that it's 10 years old, and then we've had so many iterations on that with Ethereum, and you know, it's Bitcoin I love, but it's the grandfather of the space, right? And so when you look at, then we went to Steam, and then you know, there's the blockchain lets you keep financial information. Okay, cool. And now we're going to do smart contracts in Ethereum. Okay, cool. And now we're going to do blogging. Now we're going to build a trading card game. And I'm thinking, what's the comprehension debt that this guy faces now? Like for him to learn about Bitcoin and then learn about Ethereum and then learn about Hive and then learn about, I'm thinking we are so early in all of this, you know, compared to the legacy banking system. You know, we see it all collapsing around us, and yet we're right at the cutting edge, like you said, Bob. We are right there. Taskmaster wrote a piece that's really been resonating with me recently. I just read it yesterday, but he said Sucre is a region in Venezuela where there's 300 identified hivers there, and they are using HBD as a currency because the bolivar's collapsed. It's sky high inflation, and so they're using HBD as a currency. And he said, when we get to the point where those people, rather than the people they spend it with, just sending it to an exchange and selling it, if they hang on to that for them to then pay their suppliers, right? If we then start closing up those loops, then the velocity starts kicking off, and you get one HBD that's gone to him, to him, to him, to him, to him. suddenly that one coin, that one token has now generated all this extra economic activity. And now all of these people who've got no alternative, they've got no option, there's nothing, their Bolivar is busted. They then can have an economy again, and we've allowed that, we've enabled that. And I'm thinking dark energy crystals, HBD, this system that we're building has the potential to disempower the bullies of the world and give power back to the people in a way that the populist slogans, power to the people, and it's really just power to the dictator with the stupid moustache. Real, actual, genuine power and self-determination to the people. And I'm thinking, yeah, we love it as a card game, and yeah, I've got my crustacean king there, but then there's the bigger game, right? The bigger game of what cards do I want to buy? What cards do I want to rent? What kind of price do I want to pay for these? What sort of do I think Rift Watchers is gonna? I'm not really sure. And then there's the bigger game, the social game. What am I going to say in Discord? How am I going to present myself? Am I going to stream? Am I going to produce YouTube content, podcasts like this? So there's games within games within games, but then there's the bigger game, which is we are freeing people and we are disempowering bullies, and that's what lights me up inside.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like-
it's a great point, Matt. And also I'll just say that I think I heard a similar story of usage on the People's Guild podcast when they talked to Mango Mayhem. Yeah. When he was doing like the loans against assets or the advances against assets in Splinterlands for people to help them out, right? So you're actually seeing that that availability of digital assets allowing for kind of fiat assistance or interaction. And I just want to go back quickly to one other point you mentioned there, talking about the narrative around crypto and how it's, we're early here. And, we haven't really had from a crypto perspective, I think you've got mail moment. We haven't had our kind of AOL or whatever linking the general populace to crypto and onboarding and having that frictionless crypto experience. When we have that, that's going to be our .com boom at that point. And we're not there yet. That's why we're early, because the narrative in the general media, at least in the United States, I don't know how it is worldwide or in Australia, for example, but the narrative in the US, when people talk about crypto, or when I talk to people about crypto, they get their information from, the media, and the media, generally speaking, is very negative around crypto here in the United States. And people don't understand what it is or what value it can bring or anything like that. And it's because they get their news bites or their information just from general articles blasting crypto. And a lot of cases, the mainstream media is doing that because of all the influence, I'm sure, from the traditional finance and banking system. But, when we do have that, AOL or easy access into a frictionless crypto environment, I think that's when things get really exciting. In this space for sure. And I do think we're super early. If you listen to one of my recent videos talking about Splinterland's best kept secret, talking about market valuations and comparing it to other, Web3 companies, I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg, really, I think. And people, on the comments said, well, that's too much hopium. That's not realistic. And I'm like, no, it is. In actuality, it's probably conservative depending on how this thing goes. So I really think, for those that are watching this podcast today, that you're probably in a good spot if you have a long-term horizon here. And definitely, it's going to be certainly a roller coaster of a ride along the way, but I think it will well be worth it at the end of the day.
Completely agree. And when somebody says that's unrealistic, I keep going back to the Wright brothers were absolute lunatics. Right up until the moment they weren't, they were lunatics.
Yep.
Yeah. And, you'll still hear people at this, we just spent 10 minutes talking about how we're on the pioneering edge. We're brand new, what's to come. And you speak to some people, oh, I'm too late. I missed the vote. I missed the vast. It's like, no, seriously, it hasn't started yet. Oh no, I'm too late. I'm too late.
And that's right. Sorry, Bob.
As I said, just expanding on what Tales was talking about with that episode on People's Guild. Shout out to Wesley Wabbit and Vijangles. he was talking about his slogan, and as Tales mentioned, like he's teaching. He's started with his staff in his like restaurant, his hotel, teaching them about savings, about assets, about holding, using the game currencies to do that. And their slogan that they started, like that they really started expanding on, was a bag of rice a day. And he says, like, in Australia, a typical breakfast might be like bacon, eggs, or whatever. And he's saying Filipinos eat rice with everything. So breakfast is like eggs with rice. Like rice is everything to the Filipinos. And that one, a bag of rice a day from the game, to pull a bag of rice a day from this game, whilst holding, accumulating, and reinvesting your assets. And he's teaching people, using this game to teach people finances. And even here in Australia, I never learned anything in school about finances. Not a thing. I was never taught how to save money, about compounding interest, about investment. No, like they don't want you to know that stuff.
Yeah, you're not the customer, you're the product.
Yeah.
And you know what? Yeah. Now that you mention it, it actually makes heaps of sense, because what are they targeting? Like, they don't care about the crypto because they use the down market to spread their FUD and fear, but it's the stability they don't like that can be created in crypto. That's why they've attacked stable coins. That's why they're coming for stable coins, because they know people love stability. And if you try to create that in a space that's supposed to be everywhere, you can't have that, can you now? Because it looks way more attractive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think. That's what I think.
And expanding to what Tales said, with like the negative take on the states and that. And if you're watching a latest a movie that's come out in the last few years, or something on Netflix, anytime you hear Bitcoin or crypto, it's the international criminal cartels or the terrorists are using Bitcoin to found their empire. It's
It's funny. I just saw that yesterday on TV. I don't know if you guys have watched Tulsa King. It's a show that has Sylvester Stallone in it, and it's a Taylor Sheridan.
Yeah, I've seen ads, but I haven't watched it yet. It looks good.
But it's exactly that. It's the only time they brought in crypto is when someone was laundering money as a gangster, right? So yeah, there you go. There's your narrative.
Yeah, I recently started watching one of my students on Cambly, a Korean guy, actually got me onto a TV show called The Blacklist, and it revolves around like the FBI and international criminals. And yeah, they keep pushing Bitcoin, and he transferred his money into Bitcoin. It's lost. We can never track it now. Damn terrorists, damn criminals. The reality of things, we know about Monero, about Dash, about pirate coin, but Bitcoin is traceable. But they're just pushing that message to the populace. So it's just steering the conversation back around to you again, Tales. I imagine anyone who's watching this would know who you are, but just on the offset or off chance, like tell us a little bit about what to expect on the Splinterlands TV. Like I mentioned right at the beginning, it's one of the few that I'm riveted to. I thoroughly enjoy for the information, and you not only know what you're talking about, but you deliver it in a way that I was an early adopter into a lot of this, but I'm not tech savvy, but you deliver it in an incredible way. And some of your socials, or what to expect on your YouTube channel. Yeah, tell us about you.
Sure. So I think one of the things that I'll say, and I've mentioned this I think in the past as well, is the whole point of my content creation and my socials is to share my journey and the research that I'm doing for myself personally with the community, because this is one of the most powerful things of Splinterlands as a game. Is I understand we do ranked battles and we battle each other or whatever, and we want to win the game, but outside of the ranked battles or the tournaments or the brawls or what have you, the point of the game is in some degrees to level up your assets, right? To grow your assets, to do well in the game outside of the game. And from that perspective, that's where a lot of my content, that I share with my streams and my YouTube videos is about. It's about, I'm going to be doing the research for myself to understand, where I think is, a good maybe next move or where the market might be going. Again, not financial advice. I'm just sharing kind of my research and data. And a lot of what I do is based in kind of data and kind of, obviously, if you want to draw conclusions that are accurate, you want to have good data. So, I just shared that with my socials. And that's where kind of my channel originally came from, is because I went down the rabbit hole of Splinterlands. At the time, there was a lot of unknowns and I was learning a lot along the way. And I just figured, well, if I'm learning all this, there's got to be other people that have similar questions. And I was like, well, maybe I can share what I'm learning with other people so that they can benefit from it. And that's how my channel came about. And my kids kind of at the time joked and made fun of me and said, hey, there's no way you can create content. No one's going to watch you and listen to you or want to, spend 5 seconds watching anything that you produce. And I kind of just chuckled and I said, I'm going to prove you wrong. And that's kind of what we've been doing, is we've just been slowly building over time. And for me, what I share is just my unfiltered opinion. And I would say that I'm a realist when it comes to approaching life and everything. And I'm just going to tell you my unfiltered opinion, and you may not like it, but it's just my opinion. And when things are not going well, I'll mention that things are not going well, and when things look very positive, I'll mention that as well. So I'm not going to always show you hopium and say this is the way you should view it and everything's great and just hang in there. With everything in life, right, there's good and bad. And that's what you get on my channel. You get an unfiltered perspective on whatever the latest topic is, whatever the latest data shows. And that's why you might see different topics, different opinions. And that's just the way it is. There's nothing in the life cycle of, let's say, a stock that goes up and down, or a company that goes up and down. There's going to always be positives, there's going to be highs, and there's going to be lows. And with my channel, you're going to get kind of my unfiltered opinion on where things stand with that particular topic or data. And that's, I guess, what I bring to the table. And a lot of what I do is I'll try and bring content that's unique to the community. Like, I don't want to make the 10th video talking about Zerial's abilities and how she can be used in a match, right? Because there's plenty of other content creators that'll create that content and give you that data. And I don't want to be the 8th or 9th video that you watch about the same topic. I want to give you something that is different, that's new, that you may not have heard of before. And that's why I don't push like daily content necessarily. I'll just push content that I think people aren't talking about or haven't really touched on yet, and leave stuff that's already been talked about to the other content creators. And that's kind of where my socials are at right now.
From a personal perspective, I really enjoyed that analysis that you did with Azil, and the fact the cost to buy the card and what it's going to do, but what else you could do with that same amount of money. And it really, really resonated with me, because right now that's where I'm at. I'm trying to level my deck to diamond, because I played with the gold deck for a while. I just didn't see myself being a diamond competitor. But now that I am playing in diamond, I'm not maximizing on my rewards with gold level cards. So that's what I've been focusing on. And I took notes when you did that analysis. You're going through the market. I really, really enjoyed that section that you did. So I appreciated that anyway.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And the reason why I do things like that is because, I'm going through the same exercises myself. Again, it's, I'm doing that kind of analysis and kind of process flow and trying to determine how I'm going to approach, that promo card buy, for example. And, that's what I like to do, is I like to just kind of share, what I'm learning along the way, and hopefully it's beneficial, or at least provides food for thought, right? Where you can say, even anytime I present data or an opinion, I'm hoping my audience is going through and calling me out and saying, hey, this is BS, that doesn't make any sense, and here's the reasons why. Because what it tells me is, it tells me that the audience is listening and understanding what I'm saying, and then creating their own form of thoughts and saying, hey, these are the reasons, boom, 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 why I disagree with you. And at that point, the conversation in the video has been effective, because now you're thinking about it for yourself and using critical thinking to come up with your own opinion. And if it's not in agreement with me, that's great, because I don't expect everyone to agree with me. But hopefully, if we have the conversation and the data is beneficial and causes people to think, that's ultimately the goal, right? So.
And sometimes we
Right.
do need that sounding board to hear our own thoughts, and I can give an example. I have my regular coffee shop I love to go to, and just some regulars that you see in coffee, and over time, there's been a few crypto conversations, and some of these people are starting to ask the questions that show that they're actually interested. And one of the ladies, Penny, a while back, and she's saying, "Oh, how's that Bitcoin coming along?" And I says, "Oh, it's like it's 15,000 US at the moment." Oh, okay. And I was down there today doing some shopping. I was outside having my coffee, and she says, "Oh, how's the Bitcoin now?" I says, "Oh, went up to 30. It's just dropped down to 27. So I just bought a little bit again." It's like, no, last time I spoke, it was 15. Now it's 27. And there's another guy, Lance, and he was like saying, "Oh, I'm sick of the banks. I'm sick of the banks." And he said he just took all of his money out of his bank account, like his retirement fund. It was like 40,000 or something. And he's put it into a credit union because he's sick of the banks. And he was raving about how he's getting 4% interest on his money. And I says, "Well, actually, I've got a coin I'm investing in at the moment. I'm getting 22% APR." The jaws just sort of dropped. And I got home from that particular conversation. That was like on the weekend or something. And I got home from that. I thought I needed to say it to hear it. 22%, So right there and then, because I'm actually moving to Mexico at the end of the year for at least 12 months. While I'm there, I'll try and figure out how I can stay longer. I've got friends, I've got contacts over there. And right there and then, I took $1,000 out of my savings account and bought $1,000 worth of SPS with it. And I can actually sit there and watch it actually ticking over in real time. And that's getting me now about 18 SPS a day. I'm never going to get that from the bank. But I had to say it to someone else to hear it myself. I'm sure you've got examples like that. You hear yourself talking by talking to others.
Very good.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I think, one of the things that you brought up there, which is interesting, and one of the exercises that I've done recently as an example is, I'm looking at, in the current market, how within Splinterlands, the market, I should say, is, how I can maximize my earnings. And I'm looking at, I have, assets in the game that may not be earning me, like you mentioned, every day, when I can see it kind of tick up. And I was looking at, just returns. I was doing analysis, and taking stock of, like, for example, what's the voucher Hive pools, APR, what's versus the DEC SPS pool versus, just the SPS staking versus SPS node licenses. And I was looking at that, trying to understand, hey, where can I take assets that may not be working for me today in Splinterlands, and do I want to take on the risk to get that passive earning and that income in, like, for example, an LP or whatever else, what other mechanism there might be. And that's what's interesting about this game is, even when you're not playing the game, assets are doing things for you passively, potentially. And the sooner you can, pick a lane or pick a path and have them start working for you, and you see that, you can really appreciate the power of compounding here. Now, again, it's not without risk because, people could say, for example, yeah, you might get 22% APR on staked SPS, but SPS is also down from, let's say, 60 cents, whatever, a year and a half ago, down to like 2 cents. So you might have lost more value than you gained. So there's always kind of that give and take on how you approach the game. But again, you have to look at the time horizon that you're looking at. For example, if you bought SPS recently, which is arguably almost at an all-time low, are you looking to convert that value to something else in the next 2 weeks, 2 months? Then maybe that's not the best choice. But if you have a long-term horizon and looking at it as a long-term, not an investment per se, because it's not really an investment, but if you have a long-term window to see value, then absolutely that could be something that that risk profile looks a lot better. So yeah, I think it's, again, there's no right or wrong way to approach Splinterlands at this point. It's everyone's journey is going to be different. It's how you maximize and how you chart that journey, I think is what's interesting for everyone.
Yeah, SPS was 2.4 cents when I bought, and I was, like you said, it was an all-time low. But the day after I did it, it did drop down to 23 point something. But again, it is like I said, it's not a 2-week flip or a trade. It's a holding. So even if it goes to 25%, SPS 10x's plus all of the staking that I've made on it, I just can't see that I can lose. It's just sitting in the bank doing nothing, absolutely nothing. So, and again, there is a risk, not financial advice. There's risk involved with all this, but there's a risk just having your money in the bank nowadays. So,
Exactly.
There's a risk just walking on the street. Damn it.
In the US, that definitely is the case these days.
Yeah.
But one other thing I'll just call to everyone's attention. I don't know if anyone else is doing this same thing, but I for example, GLX, right? I think the APR last I looked was like 109% still. And I look at that every day, and I know it's dropped below a penny per token now. And I think a lot of people are seeing, even if they're reinvesting or restaking all of their GLX that they're getting into more GLX, they're seeing their value go down because the token is dropping faster than the APR can print at this particular stage. And I look at that and I say to myself, because I've been restaking for a little bit now versus selling anything for GLX, just because I think the price point is kind of silly to sell right now. But I look at that, and even though the value is going down, I say to myself, well, the game is theoretically just around the corner. The team has said that they're targeting a June release date for the game. The packs are openable. The market's online. You can buy and sell the cards. So it would seem very, very silly to sell now when it's kind of like right before things are going to get interesting. And that's just one of the things I look at every day and I go, wow, where could GLX be, or what could happen to GLX, in the next, 3 to 4 months? Where could this be? Yeah, I mean, you could say, well, it could go to zero or whatever, and the game could be a disaster, which is, a possible outcome. But I look at the other side of the equation and I'm like, man, this could rapidly change in the other direction as well, because the tokenomics are pretty pristine. The game doesn't have to necessarily be a blockbuster, it just needs to be a success, and to bring in some new players here and to be a vibrant kind of active game could do quite well. So I think we're very early in that part of Splinterlands, and I'm looking forward to see what does it have legs, can it really do something interesting? So that's another thing I'm keeping an eye on. Have no specific care necessarily if it goes to zero, if it goes to $10 necessarily. I'm just curious to see what this next stage of the Splinterlands journey looks like for that particular asset.
it's hard to say, like, what if, right? There's always that what if this, what if that. And I think you could say, well, what would Splinterlands have been like if Yabba and Aggroed had a built-in fan base of a couple 100,000 people before they launched the game? And what if they'd have learned all of their lessons before they launched the game? Well, that's what's happening with Genesis League, right? This is okay. So there are a lot of people out there who know that that they've got a history of winning these things and building a solid, stable product and not running away and getting the tokenomics right. And they've had the benefit of all that hindsight when they've learnt those lessons in person in this realm. So yeah, for me, I think GLS is a no-brainer. I've just auto restaked everything that I've got. I've got a personal policy where I don't sell airdrops for 12 months. So even if I think it's going to zero, I just sit on it and I just watch it go to zero. Not that that's the case, but I figure if you're going to give me free tokens, then the least I owe you is to leave them alone for a year and give you a chance to get yourself established. And that's not just generosity. Also, I expect that with everything being open and being obvious, if somebody's looking to run an airdrop on people that aren't likely to sell it, and he starts running some reports on who sold their tokens that they were being airdropped and who staked them automatically and never considered that, well, then I want to come up on his happy list, right? Because then I'm going to be the ones getting airdropped his tokens for his new project. So there's a bit of selfishness there too. But yeah, I leave everything alone for 12 months. But I'm really enthused about Genesis League Sport. I'm not a big soccer fan myself, but there are billions of them. So rock on.
Yeah, and I'll just add that one of the things that I picked up on your discussion with Matt, and I thought it was a pretty important thing that was stated was, Matt said, had he, I think, to paraphrase him, I think he said, had he known about kind of the concept that they have now with the flywheel during the SPS airdrop, where they could have taken advantage of the DEC pricing to add value to SPS, that cycle. Imagine what could have happened at that point in time if the current economic kind of burning for SPS for DEC to peg existed. That statement boggled my mind to try and unpack what that would have meant to bring DEC down to peg and what value would have promoted to SPS and how things could have really gotten interesting back then. And that makes me, very interested to see, like you said, what happens with the GLX token moving forward. And it also, when that conversation that you just had there, Matt, also, reminds me, excuse me, of another thing that Splinterlands hasn't taken advantage of yet that I think is a very powerful tool in their toolbox should they wish to generate and eventually it's kind of that piece that will unlock doors in the future for value. Matt's been hasn't been shy about saying that he wants to add utility and value to Rooney moving forward. And one of the things they haven't done is they haven't done any airdrops specifically to Rooney holders as of yet. And I think when the time is right, I think they will start doing airdrops there. And I think that will generate excitement around Rooney, around whatever project they're airdropping stuff for, whether it's Splinterlands, GLX, whatever it happens to be. And that's a powerful, lever that has not been pulled yet and certainly can be. And so that's why I hold some Rooney as well, because I believe in, the vision that Matt has for that. And I hope it does pay off. Like you said, Matt, it's one of those things where, when they look at, asset holders or believers in the company, that'll be one piece that they probably look to revisit and reward people for in the future. Same thing with nodes, right? Validator nodes was also alluded to, something that would be, you know, rewarded for supporting the ecosystem in that regard as well. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, airdrops are a funny one as an incentive. You could almost look at vouchers as being an airdrop, but I think the Vraz promo just won across the board. It made sense. It was simple. People generally had roughly around the right amount of vouchers for the SPS stake that they had, and it felt very much like here's just a free gift. It's just, here you go. We're going to, again, not an airdrop, but we're just going to basically make this card available out of the blue for you. And a lot of people were, I guess, re-enthused and reinvigorated by that. So when you say a Rooney airdrop, I'd almost say, could we do it as a card? Could we default to being, okay, when we do airdrops, rather than looking at dropping tokens, which sometimes people are just going to sell, maybe drop cards instead. And obviously people sell cards as well, don't get me wrong, but there's something really exciting about, I've got this collection of cards. Oh, and look, because I'm such a good collector, I've got one here in my they've just dropped it on me. I think that's a fun and exciting way to go with it.
All right. So on that, shall we get some battles going?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
All right.
Tails, how do you feel about land? Have you got any plots though? But while you're doing that, Bob, while we verse each other, just quickly, just small talk, so we don't have to, wait in complete silence.
All right. So
Yeah, no,
are you going to
I'm
send Tails a challenge, or you want me to while you guys are talking that
You
up?
can start off first, yeah,
All right.
if you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll get one going. So yeah, land.
Yeah, I
Continue
do
on.
have land. I was just talking to some folks yesterday about land, and I'll probably have a video coming out soon on the topic on kind of what I'll be doing with land. I actually have a decent amount of land. Not anything like Matt Clark here has, but you know, we've got a little bit to work with, and I definitely have some strategies to share on my YouTube channel about how I'm going to be approaching that, and some of the initial data analysis that I've done. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be an exciting time for Splinterlands here over the coming weeks. And land 1.5 is, I mean, it's, Aggie's saying it's like 4 to 7 weeks away, so that's very positive. So
Future content, huh? Awesome, always something to make, yeah?
absolutely.
Alrighty, so I sent you a challenge for diamond level with gladiators.
Excellent. Yeah, let's see what we can do here.
All right.
Let's see.
Usually I cop like 12 and 13 manas, so I'm quite happy with this one. We've got standard rules and 56 mana, so we've got plenty to play with.
Pretty good.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Can't see things, so I have to imagine is sort of, the tongue hanging out, sort of Michael Jordan, ultra concentrating.
Yeah, that's one
Well,
good
like-
thing with this. You get to see the face of your opponent while they're picking their teams, and the faces is quite an interesting part of the whole battle experience.
But not seeing the face allows you to imagine what the other person's doing with their face. Have you thought about that?
I'm too busy looking at my cards at the moment.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
I've never had this many options available to me in a challenge, and that's a dilemma in itself.
I'm thinking about spotting you here. A lot of mana potentially. Bob, let me see. I don't know. I'm feeling super confident right now for some reason.
Okay,
It's
going
because
with
we're
going with some giant killer there, right then, are you? Can I assume that from the comment?
No, I mean,
Yes.
I'm saying I'm gonna give you like
He's gonna
maybe
give
like
you a
10
run.
plus mana free.
Oh,
Just
wow.
considered a golf handicap.
That's the thing. When there's no rules, we're so used to rules and then how to build a team around that. When we're given like free reign, it's like, oh shit, like what the fuck do I do?
Yeah, what do I
What's
exactly?
happening?
Far too many options, indeed.
So I spotted you 9 mana here on this team.
All right, that is like a handicap, isn't it?
Oh no, the freedom.
All right, I'll just bring up the rule set. Even though we know what it is.
Oh, all
All
right,
right.
GG Bob.
Wow, Kitty, huh?
G Jizzle man, Kraken, Rooney. Oh man.
Wow.
Oh. Yeah,
Ah,
okay.
Chaos Dragon too. Oh, wow. And there is no giant killer. I thought I'd get a giant killer against, because I thought of using giant killer myself.
Yeah,
Pinning a lot of hopes on Vorst here, I think, but
it's going to Kraken, taunt. Oh
yeah,
no.
we got triage in the back, cleanse from a poison from the
Oh,
Dublanka.
and he can never miss. He can't miss.
Yeah, I don't like my chances at all here. Don't like my chances at all.
Yeah, this is a class difference.
Yeah.
You could
This is a
get
class act.
Chaos Dragon Scattershot could sort of go all over the shot. So I don't know. I think you might be. I don't think it'll be a rout, but I'm going to give it to Tails, I reckon.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't bring any shield repair or any heal. I just wanted to hit hard. I do have some life leech, but yeah, I think
Look how much
Tails.
he's healing and protecting Kraken, man. Like
Yeah,
2 tank heal, 3 including Kitty, and repair. Oh no, yeah, repair. Oh man, that's
extra
just
life, repair,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
this is like crazy team
Healing.
because it's one of those teams where it's kind of unfair because if you don't have Fury, if you don't have Cripple, it's or you don't have like a ton of magic damage, it just is a steamroll team where it's tough to deal with. Now, if you prepare for it, it's fine. But I see a lot of times, at least in brawls and tournaments, people aren't expecting this team necessarily. Like in the past, you would kind of expect it. Now, because there's so many other options, you can kind of sneak it in there, and people may not be prepared for it. So
yeah,
And a Chaos Dragon for attack too. So even if you come up against this play yourself, you've got the scatter shot there that ignores the taunt.
mhm.
Mm.
Yeah, and this team I think came in at 47 mana. So
wow. All right, let's wear this.
Yeah. You know what? There's no shame losing against Kitty and Kraken. It's just.
At least
It's
we got
just
some
how-
poison in nice and early.
Yeah, that helps. Oh yeah, retaliate all day.
Oh, there goes the Duplanka.
Ooh.
Yeah, this.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh
You should-
no, this is.
Shut down your Gladiator too. Normally they're a chance to pick off some weak ones, the opportunist gladiators, but not an option here.
No.
The heal, the amount of heals going on.
Yeah, I just can't get past Kraken at all. Can't get past him. Yeah.
It's okay. It's all right. I mean, to be fair, like, yeah.
Yeah. Gio said right at the beginning,
Yeah.
GG's.
Yeah,
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to send a challenge?
Yeah. Let's hope we don't have an unlimited mana match, huh?
You'll never hear me complain about like low mana again.
Yeah. All right. Sinister. Is it that? Yeah.
SYN
ISTER.
3
3 R.
Right. Okay. I was looking at your name on 3 R's.
Number 3 instead of an E. 1 sec, let me share screen.
Running
Yeah.
arithmetic.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Yes. It's come up now. I was wondering
you've
why
got
it
it?
wasn't coming up. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right, yeah. 3 converted into an yeah. That's a good one. It's a good
Yeah, I
one.
was a little late to Hive, so that was already taken.
It makes sense. All right, what do we have here? 36
Interesting.
mana, no heal. We got ferocity. All monsters have the fury ability.
I don't think we're going to see a Kraken.
Oh,
Yeah, that team
okay.
would not work really well under this rule set, unfortunately.
No, it wouldn't.
Oh, you know what? Interesting. Okay. We'll try this.
It is. It is. Yeah. Yeah. All right.
He looks worried, doesn't he? He looks really. I don't think I've ever seen Gio
I'm
looking
not
so
worried.
worried.
No, I'm not worried. Not
I'm
at
only
all.
going to spot you 3 mana for this one, Geo.
I'll share screen.
Yeah.
No. Oh, I always lose to him. Okay, I'm sharing. I'm sharing right now. Share screen. This is the screen I want to share. You got that? Yep.
Yep.
Okay, let me bring up rule set. I should have done that before I screen shared, but yeah, here we are.
I think I'm going to lose this one. I'm worried about that Chaos Dragon.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think if Katrova Gobson misses and gets
Yeah,
get backslash splashback, I can never remember the name of that.
Backfire.
Backfire.
And Cora's got a
yeah.
martyr on either side.
Yep.
I'm actually scared of Katralba. Like that is
Yeah, she's mean
something that
as.
yeah, and plus you got like, inspire, so it's not too inspire, so yeah, you may rack up that bloodlust mighty quick.
Actually,
Yeah,
I just realized Tails has got control, but double martyred either side there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you didn't have Chaos Dragon, I would win this. But I think I have bad luck with Scatter Shot. With Chaos Dragon, I usually get sniped pretty quickly.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of liking what you got going on there. So
I'm giving it to Geo. I'm thinking Geo's got it.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to get lucky, basically. I'm going to have to dodge the Chaos Dragon for the first 2 turns, and then I'm going to have to make sure Katralba doesn't get backfired on the first turn.
But
Well,
with a scatter
how
on
about we play?
chaos, there's a good chance of, both your martyrs getting taken out. And then controller could just rock on. But yeah, I'm gonna give this
Yeah,
one to Geo.
6 speed with blind is not good for me.
Let's play 3 speed. Let's see how we go. Oh, nah, man, you're speed up to the. You're doing all right there.
I need to get
Ooh,
my
back
alchemist level
Oof.
too. I actually completely forgot about him because I don't use him that often. Forgot
Oh,
how
no.
good he gets. Ooh. See, there goes Katralba. She's loading up. Now she's gonna get martyr. Yeah, that scatter
can
on the
be-
dragon's gonna work against you with these martyrs, I think, Geo. Yep, there we
Oh.
go. Katralba's getting martyred again.
She's getting powerful, but she's still a glass cannon.
Oh.
Ooh.
With fly and blind. Oh, okay.
I think the lack of heal here means that Cora's not really.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no healing rule set. I never even thought of that.
Whoa.
Cora is not
I
hit.
don't know.
Ooh.
I didn't even
Oh,
consider
look
that,
at
huh?
Katralba go.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I got steamrolled. That's cool.
Yeah, I called it with the Chaos Dragon though. I said that scatter shot is going to work against you with, but you have both
Yeah.
had the same idea. You both double martyred your gladiators. So yeah,
That's right.
wow, we're getting steamrolled tonight. Nice, nice. All
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
so Matt, you've got a battle lined up then with
I do. I've
us?
shared the link in the
Yes.
chat.
Yep. Let's grab that now. Alrighty.
So I figured for my handicap versus Matt, I figured Grandmaster Wraith would be too easy, so I figured we'd go with a level 5 rare here.
What's your best leveled soulbound at the moment?
I have actually a gold foil Ava the Undaunted maxed out, legendary. That's my best
Cool.
soulbound reward card,
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, nice.
but it's gonna be used for land. So
Yeah. I do
So how
love
soon?
so I do
sorry,
love Jared in Melee Mayhem and opportunity rule sets.
Can't go wrong. So how soon after can you use a gladiator on lands? Like, is that just like, well, when will that roll out? Is that when the reward cards or soulbounds are not unlocked when you're able to do that?
I think
Unbounded?
Matt has said the initial plan is to have them available immediately when 1.5 comes out to be able to be used for
Interesting.
land. Yeah.
Okay.
Matt, have you always had a gold Adelaide?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we talked about that on one of the shows.
we
when
did.
she came out,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, Adelaide represent. I have to max her in gold."
Yeah.
But yeah, she's a fantastic card.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at Sinister's lineup here, and he's got a dragon summoner and no dragon cards, and he's got a gladiator summoner and no gladiator cards.
True, but he does have Jared though. You've both gone with Jared. Actually, I remember that
Yeah.
episode now because that was when I didn't go gold foil, but I maxed Adelaide that straight after that episode. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So
Cool.
I'm taking a penalty here in that my Jared Scar is only level 3 and my Adelaide Brightwing doesn't have swiftness with this gladiator. So
if you pull this off, you're gonna look more impressive, and we're gonna look more shit. So
go for the gusto, right?
yeah.
Well, I've taken one for the team tonight. Like no one can possibly do any worse than I did tonight. So, all right. What do you think, Gio?
Look, I'm just gonna go with the guy with the highest summoner and the yeah. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go with Matt.
Ah,
Yeah,
and
I
you
don't,
I remember the episode we talked about this guy too. You've done it.
yeah.
Supply runner.
I worry about noxious fumes because he can guarantee then that his martyr is going to die after a couple of rounds, and so
Oh, yeah.
that's Jared Scar and Krallis. That's a big concern for me because Krallis doesn't have to worry about poison. Yeah, but I don't know. I still kind of feel like I've got it, but we'll have to have a watch.
Yeah. I still need to max my supply runner because my supply runner is like level 5, but he's gold foil, so I haven't done that yet. All right, let's see how this goes.
If Marta gets resurrected by Adelaide Brightwing, I'm going to be in trouble. But then he won't automatically die a second time to noxious fumes, so I'm not quite sure.
Well, that's nice.
Whoops.
That's handy.
Oh, 2 misses. Hey.
Yeah, well, Jared Scar's not going to miss.
Krallis. I've never had much luck against Krallis. Like, I don't think I've ever won against Krallis.
So there's the Marta. I should just.
Ooh, oh, look at that. 4 straight away. Heal for 4.
Ah, man.
You already used the resurrect on your Evelyn, of course.
Yeah.
I was wondering why the mother didn't get resurrected, so that's good.
Damn.
the
The miss, yeah, fly, dude,
Yeah.
fly. Yeah,
This is
yeah.
gonna be Jared versus Jared.
Uh,
Mine's a
Yeah,
little
but it-
speedier though.
Ooh, you only got
No.
1 life left.
Okay,
No.
yeah, whoever.
Yes.
Uh,
Steamrolled. We got steamrolled by the YGG Dragons tonight. Well
Very
done,
nice.
Tails. Yeah.
Very nice,
I think
Tails.
we-
That was.
I think we need to take a week off to just have a look at ourselves and think, should we really be recording a podcast giving people advice about this game since we're getting wrecked by our guests?
Well, there's many ways we can give advice, right?
Yes.
It doesn't have to be
Exactly.
necessarily for battling, because
You can't
the
give
advice.
examples. Yeah, you just settle it as a hideous warning to others. Don't do what we do. Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, just
I
Good
don't
game,
know
mate. Well done.
why, but I can never ever remember this guy's name. We've talked about him before. The Baron's Toolbox guy. What's his name?
Axel.
Axel.
So twin blade.
Yeah. He's always saying his show is teaching people about what not to do during his battles.
Yep.
This is how to lose, or this is how to what not to do. All right. So yeah, hats off. Well played. Of course, you've cleaned the slate. Cleaned the slate. Yeah.
I got
was
the hat
really
trick
well
tonight.
done. And you had a handicap, so yeah, it's just a way to rub salt into the wound, isn't it, Tails? You know, like really had to go there, huh? I joke.
Well,
I
that's
joke.
what happens in golf. Like the better you get, you have the handicap because you can still win,
That's
and it's
right.
been
That's
well
right.
demonstrated tonight. So, Charles, thanks so much for coming on the show. We thoroughly enjoyed
Yeah, man.
having
Thank
on.
you.
Do you want
Thanks
to?
for having me.
Yeah, pleasure. Anything you want to wrap
Well,
up or
anytime.
add before we sign off?
No, I just appreciate the time spent here. I know it's late for everyone here. So I appreciate you spending the time, and it's been fun. Just do it again.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
And please do like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And especially the comments, we love engagement. And for that reason, every week, the commenter who generates the most engagement on the post will receive 10% of the post rewards. So please do let us know your thoughts. If you'd like to come on the show, drop a comment below. And we will see you in episode 72. I'm Boba Fett. Peace out.